Hello and welcome into another edition of the Sun Belt Syndicate. Not with me, it's Mr. TJ Courman, but have no fear, he will be here shortly. He had a kids' baseball game that he had to attend. I don't think he's coaching. He may be coaching, but we'll see. Definitely going to be joining us here in a few minutes as he gets back home, settled in, and on the computer. So we will be welcoming in TJ Courman, and with you from first kick to the last pitch, as always, presented to you by Don't Sleep Energy and Phenom Elite. You need energy, you need football gear. Those are your two places to go to get it. I will open it up as we start off here a little bit slower and before we get into everything that week 5 has to offer. If you've got any questions, comments to share before we get rolling in earnest, go ahead and put them in the chat and we'll cover them. But otherwise, we will get you into a little bit of the week 5 preview here as I'm totally destroying trying to share something with you guys on the screen at the moment, but don't worry, about to have that fixed in no time. Here we go. Finally, week 5 preview. As we can see, Carlos Del Rio Wilson on the cover this week after a great week last week that he had against Middle Tennessee State University. I mean, really just a great game overall. And I guess that's one thing that we may be able to jump into rather quickly, but I guess we'll give you the rundown first and talk to you about what we've got in store for you in this episode. Here is the playbook for tonight. We'll have looking good. That's the teams that came out of last week performing very well, big wins. Occasionally, we'll probably have some individual performances listed within there. Haven't really had that happen just yet this year. I'm sure if we have like a quarterback who goes off for like 7 touchdowns and a couple hundred yards on passing and rushing, we'll probably highlight him a little bit further, as well as the players of the week. And Chad's jumping in saying, hey, buddy, sure did miss you in Hattiesburg. Yeah. Got the victory. The Southern Miss Golden Eagles did over our App State Mountaineers. Got a big one coming up for both teams this week. And we'll definitely be talking about that in the games of the week coming up. Spoiler alert. But yeah, we'll have looking good. We'll go over to Come On Bro. We'll have the awards of the week. Haven't released those yet, so actually going to be released live on the show tonight. So looking forward to that. Again, as we mentioned, games of the week, the You Better Win category. We'll have some ones that may be questionable, but we went ahead and put them on that list for this week. Rounding it out, we'll have all the other games going on in and outside of the conference. Our newest addition in Best Bets. We had some commenters towards the end of last week who wanted to talk about betting, what some of the games they should bet on, and I'm sure there's going to be some thoughts and opinions on that. We've got them all listed as they've played out so far, and we've got some ones circled for you guys that we think may be hitting better. We'll also get TJ's thoughts on that, and we'll certainly have some of your thoughts as well. And then, as always, TJ's clip breakdown, which is usually the next segment here, but we will go on without him until we get him to join the show live with us and move on to, let's see, what do we want to look at here? Oh, you know what? Let's look at the Sun Belt Players of the Week as decided by us. Again, this isn't always going to be the same as the conference, but sometimes we'll have some that are the same, and we probably have that happen a couple times this week. Chad says he's not even just talking about the win over App State, just missing hanging out with us. So I appreciate that, Chad. I really did want to make that one work. If it was either a easier trip to fly down or a shorter trip to drive, it would have happened within that 3 or 4 hour time range. Was kind of my sweet spot. But yeah, it's more than twice that, unfortunately. But I mean, it was a good game to watch. It was just sadly not that entertaining at the end because App State could not convert in the red zone. But yeah, Chad's awesome, dude. I'm glad I met him in person. I'd seen him on a message board before the Southern Miss App State game, I think 2 seasons ago now. And yeah, we stayed in contact. He's been on the show. For those who joined for the baseball show, he's been on here and had a great time. We had a little beverage sipping episode, shall we call it, for that one. So that was a good time, and we'll probably do something like that sometime again in the future. But let's get to those weekly awards for the Sun Belt as presented by this Sun Belt Syndicate. Offensive Player of the Week, as I alluded to at the top of the show, Carlos Del Rio Wilson, a name that we heard quite a bit before the season got started. And obviously the number one guy there in Marshall now, especially after this performance against MTSU this past weekend. Chad saying, 2 years ago for our annual guys trip. There was a number of you guys. I actually met Dominick Ambrose, who's been kind of contributing to us as well on the side. He's kind of our NFL guy. He's a really big NFL fan, and I think Chad probably knows this too, but he's only had a handful of losses through his NFL picks for the first 3 weeks of the season. So really impressive. The guy really knows his stuff, is working for a scouting agency now as they continue to try and put some stuff out for the pros to look at and read over before they pick some of these guys out of college. So Dominick definitely knows inside and out college football as well as the pros. And that was one of the connections I made on that guys trip. So a pretty cool one to look at there. So Carlos Del Rio Wilson, let's go into the specifics. 18 of 22, 261 yards passing for an average of almost 12 yards per pass, 4 touchdowns, no interceptions on the day. But that's not all. He also carried the ball for 13 times, just 22 yards, but he did have a touchdown within those rushes as well. So really impressive performance all the way around, and really left no doubt down there in Middle Tennessee, Murfreesboro, Tennessee, to be exact, even after a long, drawn-out delay. But they got it done. Hey, look who it is. Dominick Ambrose himself saying, "What's up, Dom?" Well, I don't know if you heard it, Dom, but we were just talking about you before you jumped on. So we got the double Doms going on here now to really confuse everybody. We've got 2 TJs. Now we've got 2 Doms. So we'll just keep it rolling with all the same names so that everyone can follow along and be thoroughly confused as we get further and further along here. Defensive Player of the Week. This one's a little different from who the Sun Belt did pick. We went with MJ Stroud from Georgia Southern. He had 5 total tackles, 3 of them solo, 2.5 sacks, 3.5 sacks for loss on the day. Just a really impressive performance, which is what they really wanted against Maine. Took them a little bit to get going. They rounded into form and won that game comfortably in the end, in large part to MJ's performance on the defensive side of the ball there. And had a little fun with that graphic as I tried to make it look like his hand is going to block that pass by the quarterback. And, with his performance, it's possible that he did. I don't specifically remember what happened from that still photo, but definitely an impressive performance defensively from him on the week. Special Teams Player of the Week for the first time all season, and I think this one actually matches the Sun Belt, is a punter. Evan Crenshaw did amazingly well and really was integral part. It's kind of rare that a punter is an integral part of your offense and kind of your defense in some regards. But he had 5 punts on the day, totaling 261 yards for an average of over 52 yards per punt. But probably the biggest thing, the most important thing about those punts in general is that 3 of them were downed inside the 20, making it tough for the Buffalo Bulls to drive the full length of the field and score more points on that Troy defense. So it really helped out the defense, and it helped set up the offense with shorter fields to come back out to, which they finally started to take advantage of, because that game didn't start out too pretty at the beginning for the Trojans, but they rounded into form, won that game 21-17. And again, a large part of that is due to Evan Crenshaw. And if that name is familiar, he's been in the conference. He was at Coastal Carolina previously. So this is a guy who knows this conference well. I don't know how much that affects punting, right? I don't know those ins and outs of that, but I was a soccer guy, so I always appreciate a good kicker or a good punter, and Crenshaw was definitely that. In a week that didn't really have a whole lot of field goal units stand out for any real reason. We've had a lot of great field goal performances from kickers so far this year in the Sun Belt, but this was the first one that was a really strong performance from a punter, and that is, again, Evan Crenshaw here. And then lastly, but certainly not least, we have our freshman player of the week, probably my favorite graphic of this week. This one goes to Brent Gordon Jr. of Louisiana Ragin' Cajuns. Unfortunately, they did suffer the loss to Eastern Michigan. We'll talk a little bit further about that in a little bit. They go down 34-31 up there in Michigan to the Eagles, which, did have to look that one up because I wasn't quite sure. Eastern Michigan, I know about this gray field. I know the colors. I know the E's of the logo, but for whatever reason, you just don't hear about Eastern Michigan's mascot very much. So I did have to look that up. They are the Eagles. So the E kind of a double meaning there. So before we go on, Warren says, flip the field all day. Yes, that is what Evan helped them do at Troy, going back to our special teamer player of the week. But getting back to Brent here, 10 total tackles, 5 of them solo on the day, led the defense in tackles overall. So a freshman coming in with that type of performance, obviously Louisiana kind of needing more help on the offensive side of things. But Brent Gordon Jr. getting done on the defensive side to help them out as much as he could. Again, unfortunately, not able to get the victory up there in Michigan, but we'll see if the Cajuns can rebound moving forward. Okay, let's see what we want to get into next. I think we can go straight into the standings look and kind of save some of that since it's still a rather quick look. We haven't had a ton of games played within the conference just yet, but we have had 2, which means 4 teams have either a win or a loss on their record. So we'll take a look at that now. And in fact, I'm just going to remove myself from the screen completely so we can get a nice clean look at this. East on the left side, West on the right. Coastal Carolina, surprising at the top after the start they had to the season. They are 1-0 in the conference. Again, only App State has also played a game on the East. They reside at the bottom because they have lost previously to Southern Miss, and that means Southern Miss up there at the top of the West at 1-0, 2-2 overall, and South Alabama down at the bottom at 0-1, 1-3 overall because of that loss to Coastal. So it's kind of a perfect crisscross, as it will right now, because of how it worked out to start the year. And I've listed everybody else at 0-0 within the conference. The tiebreaker, if you want to call it that at this point, it's kind of ridiculous to think that there is a tiebreaker because no one's played any other games. But for now, it's listed as their winning percentage overall outside of the conference. So you've got a couple of teams with winning records, including James Madison, Old Dominion, Texas State, and ULM once again getting started on the win column. We have a couple teams sitting at 500 currently. That includes Marshall Thundering Herd, Georgia Southern Eagles, and the Troy Trojans, the teams that are struggling out of the gate thus far. Georgia State 1-3, Cajuns 1-3, Arkansas State also 1-3, and as already previously mentioned, South Alabama at 0-1 in conference, 1-3 overall. Kind of flipping this a little bit, and you'll see if this changes a little bit more this weekend. App State at the bottom of the East, 0-1, 2-1 overall, though. So say they'd be up towards the top if they hadn't played a conference game to suffer that first loss. So we do have to mention that App State also still barely right now, but still on that winning side as we get the season started. And they've got a big matchup coming up this weekend, as we know, and we will entertain here shortly. Let's jump back and see where else we want to go before we get TJ added to the screen. Let's see. Well, let's just go over the looking good and jump right into that one. These are the teams that looked pretty good this past weekend, and we will start off here with James Madison taking it to Liberty 31-13. Now, the explosion of the offense, or the points, if you will, in this one did not occur until later in that fourth quarter where they truly took over. Ethan Vasco, previous Coastal Carolina quarterback, Jamie Chadwell over there at Liberty as well. Vasco goes down with an injury, does not return. Those other two quarterbacks that came in for Liberty unable to really do much of anything with that offense. And the Liberty defense stood pretty tall, played one of their better games, to be totally honest with you, throughout much of the game until that fourth quarter, where they were just on the field a little bit more because their offense couldn't sustain any drive. So James Madison doing very well, getting that victory in state, but out of conference. And it's kind of interesting that James Madison gets a shot at Liberty first. OU has their shot coming up. So we've got another Virginia matchup that'll be quite interesting as we go into this weekend. Marshall Thundering Herd, as we've previously spoken about, gets the big win over MTSU. This is a place in Murfreesboro where the Marshall Thundering Herd have struggled a little bit over the recent years. So it was good to see them get back into the win column versus the, what is their Blue Raiders. That's it. The Blue Raiders of MTSU. They win that one 42-28. Again, a weird weather delay in that one that caused it to end quite a bit later than it should have, with a whole lot less people in the crowd for that one. But good to see Marshall get rolling here before they get into conference play. They've got a big one coming up this weekend. ULM gets the 31-25 win over UTEP. And typically you're going to say, well, why is a win over UTEP really all that impressive? What makes that looking good in this category, if you will? And I'll tell you this, UTEP went out and performed very, very, very well against Texas the week previous. I think it was only a 10-point, maybe 14-point loss at the most. So for ULM to go on the road after a bye week, start off hot in that one, they got the big victory over UTEP to continue their winning ways and have that winning record going into this week. And we are now ready to welcome the guy who actually knows what he's talking about here to the stage, in Mr. TJ Courman. I told the people baseball game, you're not coaching this one, right? This is just your son playing on one.
Oh no, I'm coaching. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I got roped into coaching baseball now too. So here we go.
Man, did you play baseball growing up?
No, I tried. Well, I played baseball when I was little, and then I played baseball again in high school for like a day, and then pitcher hit the ball back to me, or the batter hit the ball back to me. I was playing pitcher, and it went right into my glove, and I blocked it, and then I dropped my glove and the ball. I jumped over the fence, and I went home. Yeah. No, actually, I didn't go home. I went to go run track after that, and ever since then, I'd been running track.
Well, there you go. There you go. That's good. I don't know what Destiny's saying debatable is, but maybe it was the ULM victory over UTEP. That was before you jumped in here, TJ. So we'll see. I think it was anyway. Maybe she's questioning your ability to coach a baseball team. I'm not sure.
Maybe I'm questioning my ability to coach baseball.
Yeah. Well, you're probably questioning your sanity playing or coaching both football and baseball. Is football over though, or is that still going on?
Oh no, we still got 4 weeks left of football, and then championship, playoffs, and then championship. So
there we go. Do you guys play?
We are undefeated in football.
There you go. Do you guys play like out of like the region at all yet, or is that it's just like right in like an in-house league type of thing right now?
So baseball is just in-house league right now. But next year we're probably gonna move Brody out. He hit an in the park home run today, by the way.
Nice.
Yeah. he was 4 for 4 at bat and
nice.
4 RBIs. No, 5 RBIs.
Nice. Well, that's good, man. That's better than I could ever do. I'll tell you what. I was kind of like you with the baseball thing. Like I gave it a shot. I wasn't really successful. Turns out I was a little bit afraid when I got into the batter's box to be hit by a ball. I didn't mind the fielding aspect, but I just didn't really like the batting aspect. I was like, oh man, this is a little too little padding for me to get just pegged with a ball here. I'm not real excited about that. I got tougher as I got older, but I think I was like 7 or 8 when I tried baseball, and I never went back.
I decided real quick that we're going to run track, so that's what we did.
There you go, smart. A lot less, facial injuries. Possible in track
for sure.
Oh man, getting to Sam Malone's comment: Sun Bowl, hard place to play, and moving up to Mountain West Conference. Impressive stuff from ULM. Yeah, that's one thing I hadn't mentioned. UTEP is moving on, and so that's kind of an interesting aspect. I think that's the Pac move. Are they going to the Pac 2? Is that Pac 10, whatever the hell they're going to be next year? Well, yeah, I mean, like I said, it was really the performance against the Texas team that was really respected coming into the season. So you made you think a little nervous for ULM coming off a bye. Were they going to start slow? They did not. They started fast. They started better than UTEP did. UTEP did finish a little bit better. I think they had 15 unanswered points in that fourth quarter. But, ULM had built a big enough of a lead for it not to matter that much. Ben James jumping in saying, hope A-State can make it 16 straight wins versus ULM and going to live with the Red Wolves tomorrow night. So that's awesome. We've got people going out and checking out their coaches' shows in their general areas, especially there in Jonesboro, Arkansas. Oh, please tell me y'all saw the ULM fan that watched the Eastern Michigan game in full uniform. Yes, I talk to him all the time on Twitter, actually. So he is a nutcase and a sicko, and he is such a hater that he went to the Eastern Michigan game versus the Cajuns just to root against the Cajuns. He's Section VR. If you want to look him up on Twitter, he goes with the full outfit. He's like Destiny. He's a menace for sure, and he's not afraid to be that. So, he's a crazy dude. Yeah. He goes to like everything too. I think he drives for some of the D2 and D3 teams up in Michigan area. So he gets around to a lot of the sports and stuff. He'll share some stuff when he goes to some other games as well. She says, it was inspiring to me. I actually shed a tear. That's so great. I need to step my game up. Yeah. I don't think I've seen a woman in full uniform at a football game yet. I don't think I have either, to be honest.
So it might be something to strive for, doesn't it?
Yeah, there we go. Next level, Destiny. There you go. You can hit that mark and be the first to ever do it. At least the first that I've ever seen. So, and apparently TJ's the same way. So,
yeah,
there we go. All right, TJ. We skipped all this earlier, but let's get to. I think I'm going to try this today. We're blocking some of the text there. Actually, I don't know. Let's see. Yeah, I like that better. Well, anyway, your clip breakdown, and did you get to watch those videos I sent you earlier?
Yeah. I went. I checked them out.
Gotcha. Okay.
Some pretty good clips. You said it was 2 that you sent, right?
Yes, two of them I sent, and the reason is because we only had 2 on national television or network television, I guess I should say, this week. So we have this first clip here from the James Madison and Liberty game. This is Barnett throwing a screen. He just threw a screen to De Janeiro. I think I'm pronouncing that correctly.
Is it De Janeiro? I think it was De Janeiro.
De Janeiro, that's it. De Janeiro. And I'm Italian. I should get that. I'm Irish when you look at me, but I'm Italian in last name, so I shouldn't mess this up, but I already did. De Janeiro goes in motion, but Barnett throws the opposite way to Wayne Knight. So we'll take a look at this again in full speed as always first, and then we'll have TJ talk about it. So De Janeiro's there in number 11 for those that see him. He's the one that's going to go in motion. He just caught a bubble screen before this. Maybe that helps TJ set the scene here for you guys.
Yeah, so when you get a guy who's already making plays, there is obviously a key. But the one thing I want you to check out here is how quickly that tight end gets out on that I think it's a safety or corner. He's supposed to be an edge protection, but the tight end gets wide, and he gets wide in a hurry. And that's what makes this play go. Otherwise, if he lets, I think that's 5 or 6, 6 the outside linebacker, if he lets him get outside of him, that play's going nowhere, right? So you're going to watch, I believe the safety is going to come down, and you're going to have outside leverage. There he is right there. Boom. Outside leverage. Now, he didn't necessarily get him hooked on the outside, but he gave him just enough space on the outside to turn it upfield. So it was a great block by the tight end who buzzed out really, really quickly. And he not only did he block him, but he also gained ground while he was blocking and gave his back a place to go with the football. So, and it's hard running those bubble screens when your bubble screener or your outside leverage blocker is already at the tight end spot. It's hard getting out there because the leverage isn't necessarily created. You've got to create it on your own. And they did a really good job of that. And the back read it well, got outside, even though he didn't get him pinned, but it was still a great effort by the running back. So, yeah, great play. Both the tight end and the running back.
Now, I will ask you this. Let's watch the tight end. Yeah. Let's watch this tight end one more time. A little bit of a hold. I actually thought this play might come back. What do you think about this as someone who's done this?
Look, man, they can call hold on every single play. But, yes, he is grabbing him up by his shoulder pads and jersey. He didn't – the problem is the safety didn't sell it enough. Yeah, throw your hands up, man, while the play's going on. Make the quarterback or make the ump make a decision.
Yeah,
it's definitely some holding.
When 11 comes across here, a lot of the defense seems to be drawn to him. Is that because possibly he just got the ball in the last play, or what kind of advantage do they have trying to put the guy who just made the play in motion, if any?
So the only advantage really in this scenario is you get to read the defense. So you see now that safety's walking down. There's nobody following 11, so it tells you right now immediately you got zone coverage, right? So when you got zone coverage on this play, it's actually a much easier throw or much easier play to make against zone because you don't have somebody immediately attacking that running back. So really the only thing that 11 tells you when you're running a play like this is what kind of coverage you're going to be in. So when you got that kind of coverage, it gives you a good opportunity to get that outside leverage because your corner is going to be dropping back, and based on where the leverage of that safety is, he's going to have a good opportunity to steal that edge.
Gotcha. I like it, man. Our second clip of the night comes from the Georgia State versus Vandy game again. Unfortunately, we like to run this off YouTube TV, no free ads. Give us some free YouTube TV. But this one is from a game that was 70-21. Did they get 21? I think they did.
70-20. No, it was 21. Yeah, it was 21. It was 21.
Okay. Finley hands the ball off to Rashad Amos. There's an audible at the line before this play, though. What does a run like that do for a team in this environment? And we'll show it to you again. Full speed first time, and it'll slow it down.
Yeah, so you've got what you're going to have is a really good blocking kind of a zone run type scheme. And the running back's going to hit it backside. And he's going to run for a nice game. But what you really need to see is after contact, what the running back does after that, because it's a great individual effort past the blocking that he has. So here, zone read, missed tackle at the line of scrimmage, and now it's just individual effort. Now it's all about just grinding and getting extra yards. I mean, that play right there, 0-0, that play pumps you up no matter where you are. I mean, that calls the dogs, because what it essentially lets everybody know is that we came here to play. But if you can look right here, like I said, there was a missed block and it was a missed tackle that ended up happening at the line of scrimmage, which is what sprung the play. But you got wide here, and you've got somebody up on the linebacker. Linebacker whiffs, corner whiffs, safety whiffs. Linebacker comes back again. He almost whiffs, grabs him. It could have been a horse collar, to be quite honest, because he grabs him by the back of the jersey and pulls him back a little bit. But these are the kinds of runs. Now, granted, score ended up being 70-21. But if you can break this kind of run off against a Vanderbilt, who's ranked 20th in the country, imagine what you can do in conference. So it should give you some life. It should give Georgia State a lot of life and let them know that this can be done on a regular basis. But it was an excellent run. And like I said, outside of the initial block at the line of scrimmage, a lot of this was individual effort. And that's the kind of running that you want from your running back. It's a good-sized boy, too.
Yeah, he's definitely big. He's going to be a monster when it comes to conference time. Like you said, this is one. And the guy before this that drew a lot of coverage, and he had a couple great plays in this game, Ted Hurst for Georgia State. If you're unfamiliar with the name, get familiar with it, because like Sam says, he's going to be playing on Sundays. He's not undersized as a wide receiver. I don't think he's quite like 6'5". Let me see if I can pull up how tall he is, but he's a good-sized receiver who's not going to need a whole lot of help when he gets there. And Destiny, just to go back to this, she says she doesn't mean the uniform as far as full gear goes. She just means traveling to hate watch in person.
Yeah.
So
you got to have a lot of hate in your heart to travel just to watch somebody lose.
Yeah, no, there's no joke about that. That's for sure. Oh man. Let's see where we were. Oh, one thing I want to get to before we go back to the graphics here. And I purposely didn't touch on this at all until you got on here, TJ, but obviously we know the loss of Sean Clark, the former App State head coach. We've got an article on the website, sunbeltsyndicate.com, talking about his career in football and also about what he meant to some of the people with some of the comments that they've shared about him as a person, not only just as a football coach. TJ, I know you obviously didn't get coached by him specifically, but you know that atmosphere, you know how much a coach can mean to players. So I don't know if there's any, I know I'm putting you on the spot here without really any fair warning, but I'm sure you have some thoughts to share on the subject at hand.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's always a tragedy when something like that happens. I mean, I don't want to go in too much into detail because I don't want to give any false information, but from what I hear, it's just kind of one of those things that just happened. And it's unfortunate. You pray for and send, your well wishes to his family, his daughter, his son, everybody involved, man, because it's tough. And, selfishly as athletes, we like to think of, first the impact that coaches like that have on us, right? And what it means to the App State family and what it means to us as a unit and those kinds of things that a lot of times we, neglect to think about his immediate family. And so I want to send thoughts and prayers that way as well. Obviously, it's a community thing, man. We talked about this so many different times that when you're on that mountain, all you got is us, right? Like it's literally just us. You're not in a Atlanta, you're not in a Charlotte or a Raleigh, or you can go somewhere and hang out with town folk. It's when you're at App, you got your guys on the team, or you got your people that wear black and gold with you, whether they're students, whether they're other athletes on other teams. And so when something like this happens, I don't want to say it hurts more, but it's a little different of an effect because, like I said, it's such a tight-knit group at Appalachian State because the school is the city, right? It's just, that's all that's there. And so everybody knew him, and everybody that did know him, they loved him, didn't have an unkind word to say about the guy. And so I'm really just I'm torn up about it, man. I'm hoping that his wife can recover and their family, and us here at Appalachian State will be praying for you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. I didn't have much of an interaction with him. Unfortunately, we never had him on the show as we work towards getting more coaches and athletes on the shows from time to time. But I did get to talk to him one time. Well, 2 times technically. But when I was down there at Media Days, I was doing a run the night before the first day of the conference down there and ran by. And he happened to be with, I believe it was his mom and dad. And they probably either were coming back from dinner or about to go to dinner, but they were just outside the hotel where the Media Days was being held. And I just said, "What's up, coach? See you tomorrow." And just quick thing, right? Like, I don't want to be that guy who's like, hey, I mean, I'm all sweaty, right? Like, no one wants to shake someone's hand. So it was just a quick thing. And I could tell he had no clue who I was. But he was like, he either was surprised that someone in New Orleans recognized him as a football coach for App State, or he was trying to figure out who the hell I was. And maybe it was a little bit of both, but he still was like, "Oh, hey, see you tomorrow." He still like acknowledged everything that I had to say, wasn't like taken aback and ignored me. So the next day when I saw him, we were, I think, both at the table to get food or something real quick. And he said, "Hey, how was the run?" So just immediately into something, asking me a question, right? Like most of the time you're at Media Day, you're asking the coaches the question, and he asked me that. So it was pretty cool. Like, just treated you. That's what I've put out on social media when I had something to say about it, was didn't treat you like a stranger. Anybody could ignore you. These coaches have a lot of things on their mind, a lot of other important things that they could be doing, but he literally looked at me and talked to me like he knew me a little bit. So I appreciated that interaction. It was very small. It was very minor compared to a lot of other stories you're going to hear. But it was just another little example of what Sean Clark, or who Sean Clark was as a person. And so I just wanted to share that little tidbit again, all as minor as it may be on the blip that was his life. But it was a little interaction that I got to share at one point in time.
Yeah,
but
it's awesome.
Yeah,
it's the little things, man. It's the little things.
it is.
They say, Coach Moore used to tell us all the time, people might forget what you do, people might forget what you say, but people will never forget how you make them feel. And he's the kind of guy that made you feel like you said, you weren't a stranger. He wasn't too big for the program. That's for sure.
No, definitely not. And that's, you always hate how things end, but you know how hard of a job that not just football coaches, but college athletics, the people that are in charge of programs of any sort, whether it be an individual sport or like an athletic director, it ain't always easy to keep those jobs these days. So unfortunate how it ended, but yeah, I mean, just thinking about his family and everything that they're going through, there's tons of places to go to support them monetarily if you feel the need to do so. From a conference perspective, I know we can make a bigger dent in any of those medical bills or anything that is going to come up for that family to have to worry about in the future, now that Sean is not around, unfortunately, anymore. With that, we will get back into the football. We've covered the looking good. Sorry, TJ, I went ahead and did that without you.
No, that's fine. That's I didn't want you to wait for me. I was out there watching my son hit home runs.
Yeah, there we go. Well, I figure we added the section for best bets. All right, so I've got that prepared for us. So I thought, we might go a little bit longer, so I'll just go through some of the stuff, while TJ's not here. So we're not too far behind the 8 ball, but hey, I saved this subject for you here, so you got to start us off with this.
Yeah, come on, bro. These are the teams that you got to get it together. We need you to come on. So
yeah, absolutely.
Here we go.
And a nice little shout out from Mr. TJ O'Sullivan, our head editor, lead editor, and Mr. Everything when it comes to the website, over there in the background, throwing out some comments there. Okay, well, Ben James, your team is here, and we'll start with them since you say you have no words for how A-State played against Kennesaw. They went down 21-0 in the first quarter alone.
Yeah, that was weird.
They went down 21-0. I mean, TJ, I'm kind of like Ben. Like, I don't really know how to explain that. If you had like a fumble or an interception where they returned it for a touchdown real quick, and then they got 2 other ones on like long sustained drives, okay, that's not what happened. This team just didn't have it at the start of the game. I don't know. Have you ever been involved in a game where you went down 21-0 real quick in the first quarter like that?
Oh, I mean, LSU maybe. That's about it.
That's true.
Senior year,
how about
LSU.
This? How about what would be an equal game, right? Like that one is understandable. Back in those days, FCS versus a power team, not altogether shocking. Obviously, for App State, it's thought to be a little bit different. But this is a team, these are 2 group of 5 teams. These are 2 teams that came in with relatively close records to one another, with the history of those records early part in the season, showing that this would probably be a really competitive game. And I think we even talked about probably being a really competitive game before the season started, before the week started. But this did not turn out to be that way. So were you involved in like any conference games where this kind of thing happened?
No, I can't think. I mean, I don't know that anybody jumped out on us like that. I mean, we were solid defensively all 4 years that I was there. I can't imagine. I can't think of any time where we just. Now, I will say against JMU my junior year, they jumped out on us. We were up 21-0 at halftime, and they came back and beat us in the second half. But apart from that, nobody jumped out on us like this. That was different for sure.
Yeah, I haven't gone back and watched every second of that one or anything, because of how it played out. The Red Wolves did come back and performed very well the rest of the way, but unfortunately that 21-0 hole is what ultimately did them in, and they lose down there in the outskirts of Atlanta. I guess Kennesaw is not really in Atlanta, but it's pretty darn close there. Sam's got a good, well, first of all, TJ's saying shocking loss. What are you trying to say about my Chanticleers? But yeah, South Alabama, shocking loss to Coastal. I think it's because of the pedigree coming in, right? Coastal didn't have an offense. Defense was okay, but offense just wasn't performing. And you got Jaguars playing at home in Mobile, Coastal's offense not firing on all cylinders. Yeah, to me, it was a shocking loss. I expected the Jags to kind of almost like cakewalk through that game. I don't know what you thought exactly, TJ.
Yeah, I expected the same thing because, Coastal hadn't been looking good. I mean, they hadn't looked good really the first 3 games. Really, I mean, they had nothing to write home about. So I did not expect them to jump out on South Alabama the way that they did. So I guess in a way, hats off to Coastal, but almost like a head scratcher for South Alabama. Not something I expected at all.
Yeah, I just Sam's saying it was a 14.5-point favorite. So shocking in all caps. And I would agree with that. It was just something that I don't think anybody saw. It didn't seem like Vegas saw it either.
No, not at all.
Zach said Dad Hudson for Heisman. Okay.
Maybe not.
I know he's joking with that, but
yeah, of course.
Oh man. And Ben saying after A-State plays ULM, they get 2 nationally televised games, 1 home and 1 at South Alabama. So that will be interesting. Sam's got a good question. What was more surprising, South Alabama loss or the Arkansas State loss? I'll go with South Alabama losing. You say Arkansas State?
Yeah, I didn't expect. I mean, Kennesaw's decent. They're a decent football team. I mean, they're not bad, not a bad team at all. Based on the trajectory of where A-State was going, this to me was a head scratcher.
Okay, fair enough. Ben agrees with you, but Ben probably would agree with you because Arkansas State is his team. So he was pretty shocked by that one as well there. But that's not all. We still had Georgia State to talk about, and we saw that play early on led to a field goal for the Panthers to start off with a 3-0 lead over Vanderbilt. And you're thinking, all right, I know it's early, but look, this is a half decent start for a team on the road against a number 20 ranked team in the SEC. And then Vandy woke up, and it was 21-3 in a blink of an eye. And by the end, they had 70 hung on them by the Commodores. So, look, I don't think offensively it was too bad of a game, really, for the Panthers. I mean, obviously you want to score more and you want to be more competitive, but defensively, even against a number 20 ranked team, to have 70 points put up on you is not good, right? No.
It's never good. Anytime you get past 50, you start to think, hey, man, take it easy. Like you start to think about your family. Once you get past 50 points, you start thinking, hey man, mom and dad are not gonna. I gotta call somebody. Somebody's gonna call me and text me and tell me some stuff. You don't want to get 50 hung on you. You certainly don't want to get 70 hung on you. That was, and another team that did that was Indiana. I think it was last week.
Against the Illini.
Yeah. And that was even worse because they were both ranked.
Yeah, a team that was ranked in the top 10. I think Illinois was number 9, right?
It was 8 or 9. I can't remember, but they did not play like an 8 or 9. You get beat 70-21 or 70 to anything. You're whoever they thought you were. You're not that. You're not that.
That's a good point. And Sam's got a good point here. He feels for Dell. But Vandy is a playoff team. I'm not sure if I agree with that, but right now they look great. I will say that.
I was going to say, I mean, outside of LSU, Alabama, and Georgia, and maybe Mississippi State, who's better than them in the SEC? Who's better than Vandy in the SEC outside of those 4 or 5 teams? Certainly not Florida. Certainly not Tennessee. That you could comfortably say this is a win.
Yeah, no, I agree with that because I think a Tennessee matchup would be good, right? I mean, Tennessee battled tooth and nail with Georgia and honestly should have won that game with that field goal that was missed at the end, right, to take it into overtime and everything. But yes, I agree. You wouldn't look at that and say that Vandy or Tennessee is light years above the other. I think that would be a good match. So yeah, I mean,
and also if you put Vandy on the field with any of them, I think I wouldn't be surprised. Other than LSU, I wouldn't be surprised if they beat anybody. Maybe Georgia, maybe LSU, maybe Georgia, and those two are really about it. But outside of that, I wouldn't be surprised if they beat anybody in the SEC.
Yeah, Yeah, no, I agree with you. I mean, we saw this team, and obviously a lesser Bama, a version of Bama, but they just
Sure.
beat Bama last year, right? Lost to Georgia State, rebounded with beating Alabama. What do you make of that? I don't know,
Yeah,
but
that's
I
not
think this
weird.
year is undoubtedly a better year for them. And as Sam mentioned at the end here too, it was a revenge game, right? Like last year, they lost on the road in Atlanta to a team that they never should have lost to. That's how they look at it. As Sunbelt fans, we love the fact that one of our teams beat an SEC team yet again. But yeah, I mean, this was a spot they weren't going to let go, and you've got Pavia over there who they didn't have last year, and so yeah, they were ready to roll, and they did in this one. TJ saying Jalen Rayner, Corey Rucker, assortment of great backs. Red Wolves with the slow start to the season is baffling. Yeah, and Hunter Summers, I've talked about him as a wide receiver. He really got going. He had the best game as far as the wideouts are concerned for the Red Wolves. But again, not Destiny says naming Mississippi State is crazy.
Mississippi State look pretty good. Ole Miss looks good. Lane Kiffin over there. Ole Miss looks good. SEC's got some good teams, man. SEC is the middle of the pack teams are pretty good. I'll tell you this.
Yeah, that's
SEC,
true. I mean,
the middle of the pack SEC teams are better than the middle of the pack Big Ten teams.
I'd agree with that for sure. Absolutely. No doubt about it. TJ saying Clark Lee is a miracle worker for what he's done so far. So happy for that program. Well, look, I'm not going to be happy for Vanderbilt. They've got all the money in the world. They just haven't really truly in football. So I'm not necessarily happy for them. They're still a power team. I don't feel like, oh, finally a little guy is going to win. Yeah, they're a little guy in the SEC, but I don't really feel for Vandy for long droughts of losing. But yeah, I mean, it is amazing.
They got a lot of academic money. That's for sure.
Yeah. A private school. I don't feel bad for private schools in most cases.
Right. And it's only going to get better because they can pay these players now.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And TJ will know what I'm talking about with it. Well, both of you will know what I'm talking about with this. But like for a long time, I was like, Gonzaga's the little guy going up and doing big things. Do you realize Gonzaga is like a power team with getting private jets to all their games and have been for many years? Like this isn't some little. It's a tiny school, but it's a private school with lots of money. So I stopped feeling so much for Gonzaga after a while because I realized what is backing them.
Yeah, they got a lot of money behind them.
Oh, Destiny questioning your Tigers here, TJ. LSU looking a little shaky. Haven't seen a convincing win over anyone except Southeast Louisiana, but it's Southeast Louisiana. So it is a good point.
Yes and no. A win is a win in the SEC. Because really, if you look at it, I mean, yeah, they barely beat Florida, but on any given day, Florida could beat just about anybody. You know what I mean? So, and yes, Florida got beat by South Florida, and then they beat Clemson, which is turning out to not be a great win.
Nope.
but they did beat Clemson pretty convincingly. So, we'll see how it goes, how it plays out. But
yeah, TJ making a comment there again about they've been a laughingstock in SEC for a long time. But yeah, again, it's hard for me to feel bad for anybody that's in the SEC or the Big Ten, even if they've been a loser for a long period of time. I don't mind seeing them win. Don't get me wrong, but I'm not really cheering for them either.
Yeah, I'm not either.
Ben's bringing up more SEC. We got to get off the SEC here in a second, but he's glad Memphis beat Arkansas. We had Memphis match up against two teams within our conference, playing both Troy and Georgia State in back-to-back weeks. Both teams kind of stood a chance. What we thought. Actually, Georgia State shockingly had a closer game with Memphis than Troy did. But there we go. There's all we'll say about those Memphis Tigers. Destiny wants to know your tie to LSU, TJ, so you can tell her your little family history there.
Yeah, well, it's not so much family history as it is. I became an LSU fan my freshman year when we went down to Baton Rouge to play. It was right after the hurricane, right before the hurricane that was coming, and it was right before the hurricane, and our game had gotten moved because it was obviously the threat of bad weather and all that kind of stuff, and the team itself was super hospitable. Asking us what we were doing after the game and if we wanted to stay and hang out and all this kind of stuff. And so, obviously I'm thinking they're buttering us up before the game. Then we get there and we get on the field. We run out of the tunnel. There's a tiger, a live tiger, to the left of us. As soon as we come out of our tunnel, out of the visitors' tunnel, it's a tiger just sitting there, just hanging out. Not only that, the stadium goes straight up, and so the entire, like, all the noise is right down on top of you. Thirdly, the student section sits right behind the home or the away bench. They knew personal stuff about our family. it was the most insane game I have ever played. To this day, I've never played in a game with an atmosphere like that. NC State was kind of loud. Kansas was okay. Michigan, obviously, that was awesome, but it wasn't as loud at any point as LSU was. And LSU at that point in 2005 became my favorite football team. Collegiately, obviously, outside of State.
Yeah. So, but you do have family ties to the LSU or the Louisiana region, right?
Yeah. I've got some family down in the Louisiana. None of them though that played at LSU, but certainly got some family members that live down there for sure.
Gotcha. Okay. I thought that where it started and then the game sold you. That's what I thought. I had it backwards. It was more of the game and then the fact that you have family there kind of coincides. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Gotcha.
So
here you go. Here's one to bring you back down here. Ben says he had a great birthday because he wished him a good birthday on Sunday night. His sister got engaged. Congratulations on that as well. A Seahawks win and a Cowgirls loss.
Yeah. I got nothing. I got nothing for you, man. We suck. We stink. That secondary. I mean, they could put me at safety and I'd play better than what's been happening. We are awful. We are absolutely awful in every facet of football. We're terrible.
Well, in a regards similar to that, unfortunately for the Raging Cajuns, they are also in that predicament. They lost to the previously winless Eastern Michigan University Eagles. They did have a great comeback to tie the game very late, but it's one of those things, and TJ, we've seen this with App State over the years. Other teams have seen this undoubtedly as well. You have the ball with like a minute and something left, you score, and then like you scored too early, right? You gave the other team just enough of a shot to get downfield and get in field goal range, and unfortunately that's exactly what happened to the Cajuns. They scored, tie the game, sidelines going crazy. Yeah, all right, we're going to take this to OT, stand a chance to win. Previous Coastal Carolina, Noah Kim quarterbacking the Eastern Michigan Eagles, takes them down, gets them in field goal range, kick a walk-off field goal to win the thing. Actually, technically, it wasn't a walk-off field goal. The guy took his helmet off after he makes the kick and got a 15-yard penalty assessed because the kicker thought it was a walk-off field goal and there was still like 3 seconds left. So then there was this like they had this kickoff and it was always going to be unlikely, and then it just had a forward pass that was flagged for an illegal play anyway. But yeah, it was kind of funny that like as soon as he throws his helmet down, you can see him looking at the sideline like he's running. He's like about to really get excited, and he's like, "Oh no!" Like he starts to go to his head, and then he was like, "Ah, screw it, I'm celebrating anyway."
It is something to celebrate, that's for sure.
Yeah, I mean it was a good kick. You knew they essentially won the game, but we've seen crazier things happen in the past. So I guess that's one of his concerns. His coach definitely let him hear about it on the sideline. But let's get into the games of this week. Week 5 coming up in the Sun Belt. The least amount of games on the docket that we've had so far this season. So this should be relatively quick here. But I've only got 2 like must-watch, gotta-see games here for games of the week. And maybe we'll have some feedback on that. But the first one on Saturday night is Saturday at 7 Eastern, 6 Central, ESPN Plus, as Jacksonville State goes on the road to Hattiesburg, Mississippi, to play the Southern Miss Golden Eagles. This one has 2 teams coming in at 2-2 on the season. Both teams have had some kind of expected losses, I guess you could say, and then some good wins. And Southern Miss being on this graphic with App State kind of fitting because that's one of their bigger and better victories they've had so far this year, putting them up at the top of the conference for now. TJ, any thoughts on this one? A nice little local game here that's pretty meaningful in the early part of the season.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be a pretty good game. I'm looking at, if you see me looking over here, I'm looking at Jacksonville State's record right now. They lost to UCF. UCF's actually turned out to be a pretty good team. Liberty, they got a win against Georgia Southern. They lost to, and then obviously win against Murray State. All of their in all of their losses, though, they've put up a decent amount of points for the most part. And so, it's one of those things where it'll depend on if we can get the same. Now, all that said, I was going to say if we can get the same team that beat Appalachian State. That said, Appalachian State gave them a lot to work with. They gave Southern Miss a whole lot to work with. So I doubt Jacksonville State has as many turnovers as Appalachian State does. I'm anxious to see and interested to see how Southern Miss handles Jacksonville State's offense if there are no turnovers and what happens in that regard. So it should be a really good game. I'm gonna try and tune in and watch it. I've got my game day set up. It's a lot going on at 7:00 and 7:30, right? Because you've got Oregon and Penn State that play at 7:30. Then you've got Alabama and Georgia at 7:30. Then you've got App State and Boise State at 7:30, and Jacksonville State and Southern Miss at 7. So I'm gonna have all 4 TVs or all 4 blocks loaded up, and we're gonna be ready to watch.
Nice. There we go. That's the way to do it. That's the only way to do it. That's kind of what makes college football great. I mean, you can do that with NFL as well, obviously, but it's more fun with the college, at least for me. Destiny's saying Ben's going to end up on her list with TJ. She says she needs the defense to come out strong and stop giving up 7 points at the start of every game. Yeah, the Southern Miss defense has got some moments of brilliance and some moments of like, what was that? I mean, how did that guy get so wide open? What are you doing? So, yeah, she's definitely correct in that. One thing that's going to bode well for the Southern Miss offense, though, is the quarterback play. Braylon Braxton is over twice as many yards through the air as the starting quarterback for Jacksonville State right now in Wimset. On the ground, though, is the opposite. Braylon Braxton is the leading rusher for the Southern Miss team with only 128 yards on the year. Meanwhile, Cook on the opposite side has gone over 500. So he's got 537 total on the season. So obviously slows the game down, controls the clock there. But maybe Jacksonville State doesn't have that quick strike ability that Southern Miss has. Carl Chester he was an honorable mention if we get that article out there on the interwebs for Players of the Week, because he had, I think, 118 yards, if I can remember off the top of my head, just this past week alone. No touchdowns, but a go-to target for Braxton downfield. I don't quite know if Jacksonville State's got a guy like that. Their leading receiver is Reichsteiner, I believe I'm pronouncing that correctly. 13 receptions, 2 touchdowns on the season. So possible, maybe. But, yeah, I mean, I would think Chester's going to be the guy that stands out a little bit more and gets targeted a little bit more often. So we'll see if the quick strike ability and the potential for Southern Miss is a little bit bigger at play there. Joe, our Troy boys chiming in here. Jacksonville State versus Southern Miss, 2 teams that deserve each other. I'm guessing Troy doesn't want to see either of these teams win. That's just a guess. It's just just a crazy guess I'll throw out there. Sam Malone thinks Jacksonville State's sneaky good. Kudos to Coach Kelly after losing a ton of players. Yeah, they definitely did after that move. I believe Rich Rod was there at Jacksonville State before moving back to West Virginia, I think.
West Virginia, yep.
Second go-around at West Virginia for him as well. Don't even get me started on the La Tech tight end. Yeah, we won't, because I don't remember specifically about that one right there, but I'm sure it was some kind of performance that he had last weekend.
Yeah.
And yeah, Ben's connecting the Arkansas State stuff to Southern Miss again. Which yellow is darker, App State or Southern Miss? Technically, it's hard to tell in this graphic. They are the exact same colors. I think they're both like university gold. So they just look a little different because the graphics are far enough apart and different shapes. So it kind of makes it look a little bit different. Destiny saying, we cannot go 0-2 versus Conference USA. I will play in traffic. Yeah, don't go 0-2 against Conference USA. We need all the wins we can have there. Okay, that's enough of that one. I'm predicting a Southern Miss victory, but I think that one's a sneaky good game overall. I think it's going to be back and forth. I think it's going to be a close, tight affair there in Hattiesburg. The game on the blue turf. App State travels all the way across the country to Idaho to play Boise State. This one on FS1. Saturday, 7:30 Eastern, 6:30 Central Time. TJ, you're going to have to start us off here. I don't think you ever got to play on the blue turf, but probably didn't miss it by a lot. I think the last time they went out there was like 94, if I'm not mistaken, if I saw that right. I don't know.
Yeah, that was a little bit before my time. But
yeah.
A little bit before my time. However, I'm not a fan of the blue field. Will never be a fan of a blue field. It's green. Grass is green. Be green. Okay. I don't like the blue field. I don't like Coastal's teal field. Just be green, bro. It's not that difficult. That said, I don't know how I feel about this game because I don't know which Appalachian State. If we are going to turn the ball over, then we may as well just go ahead and not show up at all. I mean, if we're gonna have as many turnovers as we've had the past 2 weeks, I mean, we're talking, I believe, 6 turnovers. And not last week, we had a bye week, but 2 weeks prior, total 6 turnovers. That's not okay. Like that, so you may as well just be ready to hand them the football game. If in fact we can make some big plays, get some good stops, and actually protect the ball, we're talking about a pretty good game. I'm actually looking at it right now. The line is 61.5 in terms of over under. But there is no
favorite, right?
There's no favorite. So
yeah,
that's showing a lot of confidence to the black and gold. So Vegas must know something that I don't, and they must think that we're not going to turn the ball over this week. So we'll see.
Yeah. Artie Cat saying Sunbelt Syndicate #1. There we go. I'll agree with that. Sam saying, is AJ playing? I believe so. I believe we'll see Swan in this game, but I'm not sure yet if that's still confirmed just yet or not. Michael Bias saying that's a long flight for App State. Yeah, and previously App State hadn't had the best record west of the Mississippi, which isn't even all that far from home now that they're in the Sun Belt, but we'll see how they fare out there in Idaho. I think, like you said, so this Boise State team got beat early in the season by South Florida, and they got hammered.
Turned out to be a decent loss
by South Florida, right?
Yeah, it was 31-7.
But I think you're still shocked that it went that far south for Boise State that quickly, right? Like that's a game I thought was going to be competitive and one Boise was going to win. Not totally shocked they lost. It was the fashion in which they lost. Like it wasn't really in question.
Well, yeah, but if you look at who USF is right now, then if they're the same team that they have now, it seemed like they just came out firing. Because I mean they gave Boise State what essentially the same thing that they gave Florida. You know what I mean? So it's one of those things where no loss is a good loss, but if you want a loss on your record as if you're Boise State, that's the loss to have.
I'm going to have to ask Sam where he's seeing this, but he's saying Boise State 16.5-point favorite. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'm looking at ESPN now and I'm seeing no line.
Yeah, I haven't seen a line yet on ESPN for sure. There's possible that it's somewhere else out there. Sam, if you could share which one you found that on, please do so, because I'll take that one all day.
Yeah.
Shout out to the G5 goats. Yeah, I mean, I agree. Boise State, ever since they've been up this level from the FCS, they've been the #1 team, and there's really not a lot of doubting that. I know other teams want to be up there, but they've been the most consistent for the longest period of time. So that's why this is a big one for the Sun Belt and specifically for App State as well. So look, Boise State then rebounds.
I am sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I am seeing now Boise State is favored by 16.5 points, over under 59.5. So the over under has changed. This is by Sports Illustrated though, not by ESPN. So I don't know. I double digit spread seems like a lot. 16.5 points. Yeah. I mean that's 2 touchdowns and a field goal essentially. I'm hammering that line.
Yeah. And I'll tell you why I would too. I would put that on our best bets. It's not on there because I used all of them from ESPN just to kind of be consistent. So that one for us won't have a spread showing, but I would take that in a heartbeat, and I'll tell you why. Boise State rebounds with a big win over Eastern Washington. Not going to get a whole lot of points for that. It's an FCS victory that is expected to be what that is. They did go to Air Force and win 49-37, but look a little bit closer, right? AJ Swan is kind of the leader in the clubhouse when it comes to passing yards per game, I think, still. Obviously only playing in 3 games and not even full 3 games since he got knocked out in that game against Southern Miss. I do expect him back this week, but we'll see how that goes. Dominick is a rushing phenom. He's one of the nation's leading rushers in per game average. And Jaden Barnes, 337 yards so far in 3 games this season. That's more than double the leading receiver of Boise State. So App State can flat out move the ball from one end of the field to the other. The struggle has been within the red zone and putting it into the end zone. Mm-hmm. And they're right there. They're literally on the doorstep when most of these turnovers occur.
Yeah.
So they've
on the
had a bye
week.
Line. Yeah. Yeah. So they've had a bye week to work on all of this. Focus on literally the simple things, right? Like, you've made the vast majority of the play. You just got to cross the finish line. One more step here. I think they can start converting these chances. I think this bye week was exactly when they needed it after their performance against Southern Miss, because we'd already seen these types of mistakes happen within those first 2 weeks, right? Against Charlotte, didn't become a big thing because Charlotte's not a very good football team this year. Against an FCS team, it was actually even a closer game and a scarier outcome because you're like, we should have beaten this team by more. Well, you had the ability to score 3 or 4 more touchdowns, but you couldn't put it in the end zone. I don't think those problems are going to consist throughout the season. We do have to see proof in the pudding, though, right, TJ?
Yeah, you got to see it. I got to see it to believe it. It's like you said, we can move the ball all day long, but if you can't get in an end zone, what difference does that make? We used to. I was watching Bill Belichick back when he was coaching the New England Patriots. He said, "I don't give a crap what anybody does from the 20 to the 20, but if I can make you kick field goals all day and we go score touchdowns, then we're gonna win." So it's a bend but don't break style of mentality, and it's the opposite for us. We have got to get to the end zone and we've got to score touchdowns. Field goals won't win it.
Right. Yeah. No, I agree. You're not going to. Well, this one could come down to a field goal to win it if that is the last person with the ball, right? Type of thing. Sure. Like I could see that. But you're right. Like, consistently kicking field goals is definitely not going to win you very many games. And we got the Arkansas State and the Texas State guy going at it, which they meet October 4th. So put that one on the calendar for Ben and Artie right here.
Do it, lady.
Do it, lady. You better win. These are the teams that I think need to win this week. And look, going into the season, I would have circled Liberty versus ODU as a must-see. Got to watch this game. It's a big thing within the state of Virginia. But guess what? Now Liberty's 1-3 on the season. Not even sure we're going to see Vasco in this one. ODU, meanwhile, has been performing very, very well. You know that team in Indiana who just hammered a top 10 team? Yeah, ODU kept it way closer than that. So could ODU be a ranked team here shortly? Possibly. I expect ODU to win this game more comfortably than James Madison did against Liberty last week. What do you think, TJ?
Yeah, I got him by 2 scores, man. I don't think this will be relatively close. I think it might get close, the first and second quarter. I think after halftime, especially about midway through the third quarter, ODU pulls away and wins comfortably.
Yeah, I think the rushing attack with Joseph and Jones is going to be just too much. I think Liberty defense played one of their better games, actually, of the season against JMU. If they don't have an offense to sustain drives, it's going to be the same thing we've kind of talked about already, right? Like, the defense is going to get burnt out. And this ODU offense is going to burn them out because they're going to be chasing them all over the field. And I just don't see this one being close, especially because, look, the Liberty game against James Madison was in Lynchburg, Virginia. This one's on the road in Norfolk. I don't think that's going to do the Flames any favors. And I think we're going to see ODU win this one, like you said, TJ, by at least 2 scores here. And we'll see how it plays out. In the next game that we have for this one, I'm saying the Marshall Thundering Herd, you better win this game, right, against the Cajuns. Yes, it's a conference championship rematch from last year. The storylines of Marshall having this big exodus, not having a great start to the year, but now they're rounding into form. Now they've got their number one quarterback, and the Cajuns are still without theirs, and they haven't had their big wide receiver step up. And oh yeah, guess what? Number one wideout now out for this game as well. So they're really going to be leaning on that rushing attack, which they do have a 2 or maybe 3-headed monster if you consider Blanco as part of that. But I just don't think the quarterback play is there for the Cajuns, even playing at home. I expect Marshall to win this one rather comfortably. Maybe not 2 scores because maybe Marshall's still working on some things too, but I don't see any reason why the Herd shouldn't win this one, right?
Yeah, Cajuns don't look – they're not the same Lafayette team that we're used to seeing. My hope, I really don't have a dog in the fight, but like you said, Marshall is in a position where they kind of don't have a choice but to win this game. And I will say this, Vegas has given Cajuns a lot of respect because the line's only 1.5 in favor of Marshall. So, Marshall has got to show up, and like you said, they need to win this game.
Yeah, I'll agree with you there. I just I don't see it from the Cajuns. I mean, we're just vastly wrong about what you and I, TJ, both had them in the Stone Belt Championship game, and I'm already wanting to change that pick. It's not looking good for us.
I'm gonna try to ride the wave at least till week 5 or 6, but it's not looking good. I mean 6 or 7. Sorry, we're already at week 5.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I'm already out. I'm off that train. But you're right. I mean, it was a pick we made, so I'll just be wrong. And then rounding it out, we've got some games that aren't really games of the week. They're not ones that we expect teams to win necessarily. But we do have 2 conference games within this slate. But the first one, Saturday at noon on ESPNU, actually. South Alabama looks to rebound after that Coastal Carolina loss against a 4-0 North Texas team.
Mm-hmm.
TJ, this one is expected to be ugly in favor of North Texas. They are playing at home. Is there any reason to think South Alabama jumps up and surprises the Mean Green here?
Let me give you guys some numbers real quick. And so we already went down the fact that North Texas is 4-0. In their 4-0 wins, they've scored 51 points, 33 points, 59 points, and 45 points. South Alabama's got no shot. No shot. This might get ugly fast. This might get bad quick. As a matter of fact, let me check and see. I know we're gonna go over what the best bets are, but yeah, I mean it's a 2-score line, 12.5 in favor of North Texas. So listen, North Texas has been putting a beat down on people, and it's not been competitive really, quite honestly. So I mean, if your lowest scoring game is 33 points, you can score the ball. So
yeah. Did they have any big wins in those 4 games? I can't remember off the top of my head. Was any of those big schools that they've gone up against?
Let me tell you. I mean, Western Michigan, Lamar, Washington State. They beat Washington State 59-10. Jesus Christ.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. And then they beat Army 45-38. Army's no slow lead. So, and Army was pretty darn good last year as well. But yeah, impressive wins over Washington State and Army. Like I said, Western Michigan, I'm not impressed. And really, Western Michigan was, held them pretty close. It was 33-30, last second field goal. But then, you got Lamar, who's I think is an FCS school. So, that's expected.
Yeah, I mean, the Army one's also, like you said, really – Army's a top 5 rushing team in the country right now.
Yeah.
Navy is above them as one of the schools, so that's kind of cool to see those 2 teams continuing to have success in the rushing attack because that's their strong suit. As we know, throwing the ball is not their strong suit.
Right. No, for sure.
Oh, man. Yeah. All right. So conference game, Georgia Southern matching up with James Madison, ESPN Plus, Saturday, 1:30 Eastern, 12:30 Central Time. These 2 teams have gone back and forth a little bit here. Georgia Southern has won the last 2 games in Statesboro, but James Madison won the last game in Harrisonburg. This is the second matchup to make it, even 2-2 in recent years. All the previous matchups were in the FCS days. So I didn't lean too far on the history of those because they're just so far in the past. But I don't know. Does history continue? And Georgia Southern seems to hold true at home. Do you think they lose on the road here in Harrisonburg to the Dukes?
Yeah, I think they lose. I don't think they lose by 17.5 points, but I think they lose. I don't. JMU's look pretty good. They looked pretty good last week. They've got an excellent tight end, and they've got a couple guys like we talked about, number 11 at receiver. He's going to be a ball hog. He's probably going to be playing on Sundays. And I just don't see Georgia Southern matching up. Now, like you said, it's been back and forth, and I could be wrong, and anything can happen, which is why we play the game on Saturdays, right? That said, though, if based on what my eyes have shown me, I got JMU in this one.
Yeah, I would take JMU for the win. We'll get to it, but I might take the over because I don't know if the defenses are going to be able to stop much of each other. But we'll see because that's interesting. Tyler's talking sports. For those App State fans tuning in, they'll be at the Oregon State versus App State game next weekend. I will be there for sure. Not sure exactly when I'm getting there yet. I think these guys will probably be there before I do because I've got a 3-hour journey to do Saturday morning, but definitely going to be there at that game. So if you are a fan of college sports at all, definitely check out their podcast. They also go live video-wise, and then they do the audio version for the next day, and they do a great job. They're really fun to watch and interact with. Good guys over there, both of them named Tyler. That's why it's Tyler's Talking Sports.
Nice.
So, yeah, cool dudes for sure. TJ, are you going to the Oregon State game by chance?
No, I'm not going to be able to make the Oregon State game. We'll still be having football happening here, so unfortunately, no.
Gotcha. All right, just checking. Ben's asking what a Warhawk is. Artie Cat saying ULM had a good upset versus UTEP. You could look at it as an upset, I guess. Ben's saying it really isn't an upset. Yeah, I thought those two teams were pretty even. But let's talk about the A-State versus ULM game. So ULM coming in, they're still not throwing the ball all over this game on ESPN Plus, 3 Eastern, 2 Central time. But they're running the ball successfully. The defense is holding pretty strong. A-State just, to me, has more question marks. I want to lean ULM here. I think we'll see the spread here in a second. I think it's like a 1.5. So it's really tight, though. I think the reason you see this line tight, even when you look at it and say ULM should be the better team, but just by a little bit, is because ULM doesn't have that quick strike offense. So if A-State can put up a quick touchdown or two and ULM's just chasing, that's going to make it really difficult for them. But then you have to question what we've talked about already with Arkansas State, right? Consistency. Who are they really? Do they show up on time? I think there's too many question marks for me to feel comfortable not only in who wins this game, but what the spread would be and any kind of like money line on this thing. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm with you. I wouldn't bet anything on this game because it could go either way, right? Like you said, if A-State jumps out and scores a touchdown and a field goal, all of a sudden they go up by 10 and it's halftime and you've got ULM chasing, then that's a different scenario. So I'm not touching the line, nor am I touching the spread. So we'll see. But if I had to pick a team, I think I might go with A-State just because of the fact that ULM needs to drive the ball. And if you get a team and you make them go 75 or 80 yards or whatever it is now, I don't know that ULM can do it consistently. That's the thing. They can obviously anybody can do it once or twice, but if you're kicking off to them after scoring 10, 14, 17 points, whatever it is, can they consistently go down and match score for score? And I don't know that ULM has a high-powered offense to do that.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, like, do we see the Arkansas State team that played Iowa State, or do we see the team that played Kennesaw? Because those are two different teams to me. And that, like you said, I'm not touching this one with a 10-foot pole. And speaking of that, we'll get to our best bets segment. Again, this is the first time we've done this. Let us know if you like it, love it, or hate it. But we had enough people that wanted to see this last week. And TJ, I've taken the liberty to circle some of these things because I thought you might agree with me. But we'll see as we run down. So UNT, North Texas, favored by 12.5 over South Alabama with a total of 62.5. That is the line as it stands right now on ESPN Bet. If you have the app, again, this is not us necessarily trying to make you money. These are the things we might pick to be a little bit safer in that regard. I didn't put anything circled on this one.
I'm hammering the over.
Okay.
Absolutely hammering the over. I mean, hell, North Texas might hit the over alone by themselves. I
True.
mean, they're averaging 48 points a game. Even if they score 40, I got a pretty good hunch that South Alabama can score at least 22. If they've scored 40, then it's probably 35 or something at end of the third quarter, start of the fourth, which means they're going to call the dogs off, which means South Alabama's going to have some opportunities to score again in the fourth quarter. So I'm certainly hammering the over here.
Good point. Yeah, I mean, if they're trying to stage a comeback and throwing it all over the place to do it, and Davenport can do it. I mean, again, that loss to Coastal was a little bit surprising there. All right, let's jump down. Georgia Southern, again, we've already talked about a lot of the specifics in some of these games, so we'll just talk more about the lines here. JMU 17.5. Not sure if I'm comfortable with that. This is one that I'm taking the over on, 57.5. JMU defense, pretty good, although, I don't think they saw the best offense in Liberty last week, especially in that second half there. I think the Georgia Southern offense is the stronger suit here. I don't think Georgia Southern's defense is all that great. So I see a lot of points on the board, more of a shootout, kind of like the Tyler's Talking Sports here, saying the same type of thing. JMU over Georgia Southern, and they think offensive shootout. And I agree with them on this one. What do you think, TJ?
Yeah, I agree as well. Both teams can really score the ball. Like you said, the 17.5 that's a lot, but certainly the over is what I'm taking on this as well.
Yeah, and we just talked about this one, so we won't spend a lot of time on it. A-State versus ULM, just a spread of 1.5, minus 1.5 in favor of ULM being the home team. I guess, like you said, though, TJ, it's typically a 3-point spread, right, for the home team. That's kind of like your typical – so, not even as much a respect as like a full usual home game here for ULM. Right. The over-under at 54.5, I'm not comfortable with any of it. I wouldn't touch it at all. I think we can agree on that, right?
100%, not touching it.
Yeah. All right. So Liberty versus ODU. Now, I did tentatively circle this one, right? Like, I think ODU can comfortably win this game and agree with the odds makers in that sense. 16.5 is a little
like a lot.
high.
That seems like a lot.
It is a little high for me, yeah. But I went ahead and circled it because I felt more comfortable in that one than the total 52.5. I just wasn't sure what we're going to see there. I don't know. Maybe you feel more comfortable or not comfortable with the 16.5 point pick.
Yeah, I think 16.5 is, essentially that's 17 points. I don't think that – are they 17 points better? Yes. I don't think they'll end up being 17 points better because, again, even if it gets to the point where they're up by that much, probably going to be in the fourth quarter. Starters are probably going to be coming out. So, maybe 14 points, maybe 13 points, maybe 10 points, but 17 seems like a lot.
Yeah, it does seem like a lot. A little bit maybe on that, not a lot of it. We want to say my scientific point of view on your money aspect there for that one. Artie Gasshan, North Texas stinks. Have you ever seen the classic football movie North Dallas 40? One of the best sports movies ever. I know my dad's seen it. I know he's always had me try and watch some of the old school movies that he likes. I know I've heard a lot about it. I've never watched it from start to finish. I'm sure I've seen portions of it. But now that Artie said this, he's our like movie connoisseur of stuff we either haven't seen or old school movies. I need to write down all his recommendations and be sure I go back and watch it. TJ, you're more of a hard-nosed old school football guy. Have you seen North Dallas 40?
I have not. I have not seen that. I just actually today's the first time I'm even hearing of it.
Oh, okay. I know I've heard of it. My dad's like an old school movie connoisseur as well, so I just need to get on the ball and watch some of those. I've never watched We Are Marshall all the way through. I've seen parts of it at different times. I got to watch that one. Yeah. I got to get that one. Jacksonville State versus Southern Miss. I didn't touch this one. It's 3.5 point favorite for Southern Miss as they are the home team and a total over under of 55.5 as it stands right now. You touching anything here?
Nope, not even close. I wouldn't touch it with a 10-foot pole because I don't know which team. I don't know what team we're going to get because, like I said, Southern Miss. I know they did a number against Appalachian State, but we gave them 3 turnovers. So, is that going to be something that Jacksonville State does? Who knows? I don't know. I can't call this one.
Yeah, and then. Southern Miss last week outperforming statistically La Tech, but then still lost the game by 10 points. So I'm with you. Like, I just don't I don't like this. Too close for me to say you should or shouldn't do anything. App State versus Boise State, as we said, ESPN not currently having a spread on it. But what'd you say you found? And Sam probably found in the same spot because it's the exact same 16.5 points.
Yeah, I'm looking at Sports Illustrated, and it's got 16.5 points, which that's insane. That's a lot of points, man. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know about that.
A lot of points. To further sell App State covering that spread, right? Because it's favoring Boise State. So take App State in that one. At least I would tell you, and I think TJ, you're agreeing, right? Like take App State in that one.
100%.
Yeah.
Yep,
okay. The reason I would do that is look at Boise State's offense. It's not necessarily the offense of old. Their wins, although Air Force being not bad, Eastern Washington, I don't really know. They scored 7 points against South Florida. I'm not saying App State is South Florida's level. They're not. But their defense has been performing very well so far, right? They've had some close games, but it's not because the defense has allowed teams to score a ton of points. Southern Miss should have won a lot more comfortably against App State had it not been for the defense, because the defense was stopping the offense for Southern Miss. It was the offense on the App State side that couldn't get things done. But again, they're moving the ball downfield consistently. You've got to think at some point that's going to click over. And again, if it hadn't been for the bye week, I may question, do they have enough time to fix these things, go over them? The fact that the bye week came when it did, I think you're going to see this App State offense put up a lot of points. And I expect Boise to be able to put up a decent amount as well. So, I just don't think this one's going to be a 16.5 point difference.
I'm with you. I agree 100%. Take App versus against the spread 100% of the time. 16.5 points. Yeah. Outside of North Texas, I don't see anybody up here beating anybody by 16.5 points. So.
Yeah, I agree. Sam's saying just a weird spot for App State. Can be convinced either way on how they come out and respond. Yeah, that's true. I mean, they are traveling pretty far, and they are off the bye week. So, are they a little rusty? Because if you're rusty and you're chasing, we've already talked about that. Not a good spot to be in, especially against a team like Boise State who has the pedigree that they do. The last one here, Marshall versus the Cajuns, the Sun Belt Championship rematch from just last season. But again, we know these two teams are vastly different from that entry last year. Although Marshall did win that game comfortably down there in Louisiana. So that the players that do come back for that repeat game do have experience in that atmosphere and will not be afraid to walk into Cajun Field. And I think, as they should, claim a victory. So I would say I'm comfortable with Marshall at just a 1.5 point favorite here.
Yep, I'm with you. I'm comfortable with Marshall 1.5 point favorite. I think it'll be a close game, close home game, but I do think Marshall has the ability to go in there and win. I like the point total being under 52. I like that as well. I would take both the 1.5 and the under 48 points. I would take both, or the under 47.5.
Next week we'll do a better job of getting together before this, and we'll have the one circled that we both really agree on. Might be 2, might be 5 some weeks, might be 7. And we'll just kind of see. And then if someone actually puts
I like this segment. I'm a gambler, so I like to look at stuff like this. So this is
I like this too
because we're doing it, but I do think it's a cool segment.
Right. Well, I'd also like to look, and when maybe going forward, if we continue to like this one a lot, I like this one a lot too. It gives us a different aspect to talk about some of the games. Maybe even put some different places if the line's quite a bit different in one than the other, right? Like a lot of places are going to be very similar, but if one's like a 10-point difference, like make note of that because that could sway how we think. But that's a lot of services to go through. We'll see if we have the time to put that together. Could be an interesting aspect. But there are some of your best bets. Mark it down. If you play a ticket with some of our picks and you win, just let us know because that'd be kind of cool if someone, makes out pretty good after listening to these Sunbelt Syndicate experts over here. Going back to Artie's movie recommendation, gritty movie, guys. TJ, you might lose sleep. Numbing injections into knees, etc. 70s style player. I can't even read or write. Reply, but you went to the University of Alabama. Yeah.
I got some numbing injections myself. Not that I'm not necessarily proud of and probably wouldn't do again. Actually, that's a lie. I'd do it again. I'd do whatever it takes to play.
Yeah. Yeah, I would too, man.
I mean,
I
I
wish
wouldn't want my
I
son to do it. I wouldn't want my child to do it, but I
there you
certainly
go.
did it.
Yeah, there you go. That's a smart play. Smart play. Sam says, TJ, you might be onto something. Where are the points coming from? UL a strong showing. They are in a desperate spot. That's no doubt about that. Again, missing your number one quarterback, missing your number one wide receiver, not going to bode well in a rematch from a championship game from just last season. So, all right at almost perfectly an hour and a half in here, TJ. Any last final thoughts to tell the people before we get out of here?
No, just bouncing back to Sean Clark and making sure you guys keep him and his family in prayer. If you believe in that sort of thing, if not, certainly thoughts and well wishes. Life is short. Hug the ones you love. Tell them you love them. We don't know when our last breath is. We don't know when our last moment is, and not to be all melancholy and dramatic. But these kinds of things put life into perspective, right? Take advantage of the moments that you have. Love the ones that love you, and don't spend so much time holding grudges. Don't take life for what it is. People are going to be people, and don't expect them to always be perfect. So love on each other, hug on each other, and let's get closer as a nation.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not going to add anything further to that because it was beautiful said. We will see you guys next time. Thanks for tuning in and enjoy a week of football.